What's going on? You're in the Beat Sessions. I'm your host, Mitchell Weary. It is Friday, December 10th. Hope you're taking some time today to listen to some of that fantastic new music that was released. Or maybe you're like the guy that was at the park earlier when I was walking my dogs. This dude was in his car, rocking out to Sgt. Pepper's, just singing at the top of his lungs without a care in the world. Truly a beautiful sight. Admire the guy's energy. I hope that you're all having that kind of Friday. I personally am. I'm really excited to talk about this next record, an artist that has meant a lot to me over the years. Mr. Neil Young is back with Crazy Horse and a new album entitled Barn. This is his 41st studio album. And as far as collaborations with Crazy Horse, there's been so much work with these guys over the years. I've seen album number 12, album number 14. I'm going to leave that up to you, the home viewer, to decide there. But this record follows 2019's Colorado, which is pretty interesting considering that Barn was recorded in a barn in Colorado. Neil Young renovated the space. And he talks about just how magnificent it is now and how inspiring it was to get the group in there, just recording this beautiful record. And this album really takes on, he talks about the qualities of a barn. And, you know, there's something about when Neil Young teams up with Crazy Horse, it's a little more grungy. He's just rocking a little harder. He jams more, which is what I love. I mean, I don't think that with Buffalo Springfield or Crosby, Stills and Nash, any of these other projects that Neil Young has worked with over the year, or even his solo stuff, Neil doesn't jam the way he jams when he's playing with Crazy Horse. And that's what I absolutely love about this collaboration. It might be one of my favorite things in modern music in the last 60 years. It's pretty hard to think that it's been 52 years since Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere has come out. But kudos to these guys for keep going back and just going at it. What I love about Neil Young, I was talking about David Bowie last week being my favorite artist. Can say this about the dude behind me as well. But a guy like Neil Young has meant a lot to me over the years and has been one of my favorite artists because he's so unapologetically does whatever he wants artistically. And that's not to say that everything that he's done has been successful. Neil Young's experimental phase in the 80s was really weird, and there's a lot of stuff that I didn't necessarily care for there. And I think a lot of people feel the exact same way. But I admire Neil for being the type of guy to just say, F you, I'm going to do whatever I want creatively because this is what I'm feeling. And so I admire that energy about him. I feel like that pays off more than it does, result in bad records. And so it's cool when you look at the time frame there with Neil Young coming out and in the late 80s, teaming back up again with Crazy Horse and getting back to that grungy sound that really inspired a lot of guys like Eddie Vedder, Kurt Cobain, and carried that sound through the 90s. And, grunge kind of blew up because of Neil Young. I don't think a lot of people realize it, but he had that guitar tone that it's just so distinctly grungy. I don't know how else to word it. He's been making this kind of stuff with Crazy Horse since seriously the 60s. I mean, there's stuff on Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere that sounds grungy. So I love that about Neil. And when he's teaming up with Crazy Horse, what I really dig about this record, going back to talking about the theme of the barn, that this record it's a little more subdued. It's still rugged like you'd expect it to be. There's still lots of good rock and roll on this record, lots of good distorted guitars, but it's just like that tough parental figure that they're so good at balancing compassion with tough love, and that's just what this record feels like. The emotions that are there, and Neil has become very vocal and very open about his politics, especially in the last 2 decades. So a lot of this record really is focusing lyrically on the political landscape today, the things that Neil Young is certainly not content with, the environment being a big one of those things, but he's also been very vocal about his opinions on President Trump recently. And this album is going to focus a lot on that as well. It's nothing that's out of Neil's wheelhouse getting into politics. So I want to get into this thing. Song of the Seasons is what's going to kick off this album. Really love this opening track. This is a great example of that just solid, subdued feel. I really like the way this song opens basically with just Neil and his harmonica and his guitar, and it kind of reminds me of something maybe off of Harvest or After the Gold Rush, but then you hear the rest of the band come in. And there's this great accordion element working on this song that I just absolutely love. This song really is a nice way to open up this record. Leads into Heading West, which is your second track. Great rocker. This was the kind of sound that I was expecting from this album, and really enjoyed that track. Probably one of my favorites. Change Ain't Never Gonna is your third song. It's got this great honky-tonk feel. And Neil, again, lyrically, he's not shy about, I guess, the I guess, the state of the world and looking at it realistically. And I think that a lot of this album is about acknowledging that things aren't great and that it's, they might not get better, but it's more about like finding your place and, moving and putting your energy towards what you think is positive and what you think is constructive and just focusing on yourself to help build back a better world. And that's what I'm getting from this particular record and this song in particular. Neil's always done kind of a good job of balancing that, and I admire him as a troubadour for that reason. Canarican is your fourth track. Again, getting into, I love the title of this song. Great grungy song. It's fun and autobiographical. But Neil talks about that balance of, coming from Canada, but having spent so much time in the States now, the majority of his life, honestly, and identifying as an American. And I think that is such an American story. People coming here from other countries, just seeking better opportunities and finding them here and taking on that identity. I think there is something that is just so truly American about that. I love that Neil is exploring it on that song. Your fifth song, Shape of You, really like this song. It's got a little bit of that honky-tonk feel as well, just this funky rolling bass. Reminded me a little bit of the song Proud Mary, Creedence Clearwater Revival. It's got a bit of that feel to it. They Might Be Lost is your sixth track, slow tempo, dark, foreboding. I really like the tone of this song. It's probably my favorite track on the record. This is really quite the song. I'm going to get into Human Race is your seventh song, another great rocker. And then Tumbling Through the Years. I like the way that this song backs off the pace a little bit. Slow jam. It's nice and groovy. It's the kind of stuff that you'd expect from Crazy Horse and Neil, just big chunky riffs that just kind of groove. And I really like what he's doing that. Welcome Back, though, your ninth song. I think it's tough to not say that this is the best song on the album. And tough to say that, this is arguably going to be one of the best songs in Neil Young's catalog. Welcome Back is a remarkable musical exploration. And what I love about Neil is that, again, he's the type of guy that is going to do whatever he wants to do unapologetically. But you get a record that sounds like a Neil Young record with Crazy Horse. And this particular song it seems like something that they should have done when you think about 50 plus years of making music. And Welcome Back is just so fresh and such a ballad. And you talk about that gentle, subdued, but I guess still kind of heavy feel. And this track blew me away. I think it's remarkable, and I think you're really going to enjoy the hell out of it. Don't forget Love is your last song. Great way to end this thing. I'm so pleased with this record and so happy to always have Neil Young back, especially when it's with Crazy Horse. So we're definitely going to vinyl please this thing. I really hope you enjoy listening to this record. Hope you find this review helpful as well. Please like and share this video, subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned throughout the week for more album reviews, and we will see you next time on the Beat Sessions.